Hello everyone, it's Laura Myers for CMS-Connected. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Adrian Newby, Chief Technology Officer at Crownpeak. Crownpeak has had a very big year last year, from a merger with Active Standards, the UK-based pioneer who established the enterprise digital quality management market, to confirming a $50 million investment from K1 Investment Management to support their relaunch as well as future enhancements. Now that the dust has settled, we wanted to hear the inside scoop on these recent events, as well as discuss the focal points for Crownpeak as of late. Hello Adrian, how are you doing today?
Hi Laura, I'm doing great. Pleased to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. We are so appreciative you could join us. My first order of business is to have you tell us a little bit about the recent changes within Crownpeak and what that has meant for the organization.
Well, it's been a busy time at Crownpeak over the last 12-18 months. You probably know that Crownpeak has been around for a long time, since 2001. And for almost all of its history, we were bootstrapped. We took very little investment. So our dreams have always been bigger than our budget. And so it was really great when we actually found K1 Investment Partners, our private equity firm, because they were able to put a great deal of investment and a great deal of funding into the company, and that's really enabled us to grow out the leadership team substantially. So now we have a lot more horsepower in almost every area of the company, from sales to marketing to engineering, professional services. My boss, for example, Tim Volman, he's got a great track record, a great history in taking companies of Crownpeak size and really growing them to become very, very large, successful enterprises. So we've got a lot of great talent coming in, and I'm very, very enthusiastic now about what we can do with it.
I definitely like that quote, "Our dreams have always been bigger than our budget." The recent investment from K1 has hit the ignition for innovation for you guys without a doubt. I've heard a little bit about Crownpeak's new user interface actually. What would you say is significant about it?
So Crownpeak's content authoring interface has recently undergone a fairly significant transformation. It's in its third major generation now since the company was launched. And we have gone back into the browser big time. So the entire new user interface is built to run solely in a browser. And that browser can run on a desktop, it can run on a tablet device. So you can look after your websites and manage content wherever you happen to be on the planet, as long as you have an internet connection. We've done a number of different things with the new user interface, the new experience, from allowing it to be customized to the kind of role that you perform within your organization. Because a content author wants to see a completely different arrangement than perhaps a web developer or an administrator would do. And we've also wrapped really popular frameworks such as Bootstrap, Pattern Labs, the web component framework. So one of the things we're most excited about is the ability now for content authors to be able to build websites purely using simple drag and drop capabilities. And they can build a page almost as easily as they would build a PowerPoint slide or a Visio diagram. It's
great to hear just how much Crownpeak is doing to empower content authors out there. In preparation for this interview, I actually read that you now provide clients with the only cloud-first DXM platform to feature built-in DQM. Can you expand on that integration and give us your opinion on what makes it so impactful for users?
Sure. So let's first of all cover what DQM actually means, because it's a relatively new term. DQM stands for Digital Quality Management, and I've also heard it referred to in the industry as digital hygiene, which I think is a great term. And really, what you're doing with DQM type technology is trying to take care of three fundamental concepts. The first is using the tool set to ensure that you have really solid, consistent brand identity, brand standards, which is very, very important for organizations with hundreds or thousands of websites around the world that focus really strongly on their brand identity and their brand presence. The second area is for organizations that work in regulated industries or operate in regulated markets, such as the European Union with data protection, or in the United States, Section 508 accessibility standards. Compliance is a very, very important aspect of looking after your digital presence on the internet. And the third area is really making sure that your web pages are properly constructed so they perform well in search engines, because everybody is, of course, trying to become at the top of the listing, or if you can't get at the top of the listing, at least above the fold. So one of the first things that we did as we charted out our new strategy under the K1 investment was we merged with a company called Active Standards, which had been established in the United Kingdom since actually before Crownpeak, year 2000, I think. And Active Standards really had the one of the premium tools in the DQM space. And we've always had an integration with Active Standards, and now we're very proud to be able to include it as part of the core service. Although we also still maintain the plugins that Active Standards had all brought to the market to work with other content management platforms, because we understand that while DQM is really, really important, not everybody has yet seen the light and decided to invest in the Crownpeak platform.
Another important point of discussion in addition to DQM is that of DDoS. How does Crownpeak combat those attacks?
Well, distributed denial of service is something that's on everybody's mind. I think probably by now everybody's heard about the attacks late last year, where everybody's fridge apparently on the internet combined to bring down some pretty major sites through a very, very massive denial of service attack. We've been very active with Amazon Web Service technology partner. We're an Amazon Advanced Technology partner, and we've been working closely with them for many years. We've co-presented at a couple of their user conferences in Vegas, most recently this year. And we have tried to use every ounce of the technology that someone like Amazon Web Services can bring to bear to really combat this threat. And we actually did some work through the second half of 2016 with one of the world's largest financial institutions, Bank of New York Mellon. It's known as what's called a SIFI, a systemically important financial institution, essentially judged to be so significant in the world financial market that any disruption to its services would cause problems around the world. And they came to us and said, we want to set the benchmark, we want to set the standard. And so we worked with them and with Amazon Web Services to build a really, really strong product offering that dealt with not just what they call volumetric attacks, which are examples of the kind of refrigerator attack I was talking about a moment ago, but other forms of attack such as SQL injection, cross-site scripting, hit and run, Hulk. The list of acronyms is endless. But I think what was so cool about that was we were actually able to talk publicly about the work that we did, which is very rare in this space. And it was the subject of the case study presentation that we did at Amazon Web Services reInvent in Las Vegas last year. And I'll just give you one statistic. We actually mounted some very, very aggressive attacks to test the resilience of the infrastructure we built. And at one point in the test, we were able to show the websites working perfectly normally while being subjected to malicious attacks of 100 million malicious requests a minute, which is a huge number by any stretch of the imagination. And if you want to hear more about that, just Google Crownpeak DDoS, and our customers and our prospects and anyone else who wants to know can find out all about it online and see some of the YouTube videos that are up there.
That's an incredible statistic, and as you mentioned, it's unique to have been able to share such a large-scale case study to showcase the efforts against DDoS. On that note, that's all I have for you today, Adrian. Your answers have been very thoughtful, and I would assume very thought-provoking for our viewers. Thank you so much for speaking with us today.
Thanks very much, Laura. It's great to be here.